She moved here for privacy and ended up being watched more than ever. Madeline tore open the unmarked envelope. One photo inside. It was her yesterday in her backyard, reading under the tree, taken from above. Below it, in jagged handwriting, "We see you. Always have." Her chest tightened. She stood up too fast. The photo slid to the floor. She hurried outside, past the garden beds, dropped to her knees at the rosemary pot. There, a black lens, half hidden in soil, blinking red. She didn't speak, just stared. Who, why, how long? Madeline Carter used to build systems that stopped hackers. Until one day she realized she was the one being hacked. Her startup was small but promising, a secure messaging tool. She poured 2 years into the code. Then came the crash. Her company laptop inspected after a security breach revealed a keylogger installed silently by her manager just to monitor productivity. Every line she wrote, every password, every message recorded. Sold, she lost everything: her team, her funding, her voice. After that, she vanished. Deleted all social accounts, changed her number, packed what fit in her car. This house outside the city was supposed to be a reset. 1 acre. No neighbors too close, no cameras, just silence. Her fingers tightened around the mug as she remembered. Her eyes glanced down briefly, lips pressed thin. And now, a lens blinking in her soil. She walked the edge of her house slowly, shoulders tense, trying to steady her breath. Another one. A small lens tucked near the motion light above her back door, blinking, watching. Then one more, high up, fixed toward her second-floor bedroom window. Her hand shook trembling as she wiped sweat from her palm. She stepped back, pressing one palm against her chest. Suddenly, it was 5 years ago. That click, the soft, rhythmic sound of keystrokes echoing from inside her own screen. Back then, she thought it was in her head. Now, it was in her garden, her bedroom, her life again. Her throat tightened. Her jaw clenched. She scanned the trees, the rooftops, eyes wide but searching. Because this time it wasn't just surveillance, it was personal. She called the HOA office. Straight line. No hold music, just clicks. Then a woman's voice. Flat. Precise. "This is Victoria Harlow, president of the HOA. How can I help you?" Madeline steadied her voice. "There are cameras on my property. Without consent." Silence. Then, "We install surveillance where necessary. For community safety." Another pause. "It's not personal. It's protocol." Madeline froze. She never mentioned the address, never gave her name, and yet Victoria answered like she already knew. The call ended with a soft beep. Madeline stood still, phone still in hand. Her lips parted barely a whisper. She knows. Madeline drafted the email carefully. Attached photos, marked camera locations, quoted federal statutes, clear violation of residential privacy. She ended with one line: "Remove all devices within 48 hours or I escalate." She hit send. The reply came 12 minutes later. Subject response. Regarding surveillance units. Body, you do not have the authority to interfere with community security systems. Victoria Harlow. No greeting, no closing, no explanation, just power. Madeline read it twice, once for the words, once for the tone. Victoria wasn't denying the cameras. She was defending them. And underneath it all, one thing rang loudest. She wasn't afraid. Not yet. Early morning, leash in hand. Madeline walked past the HOA maintenance shed slowly. The door was closed but not latched. A half-inch gap, just enough. She paused. Inside, dim blue light flickered. A screen. Gary Mullen sat alone, hunched forward, elbows on knees. He didn't notice her. He was scrubbing through video feeds. One showed a woman gardening. Another, someone sunbathing. He paused, rewound, zoomed in, watched, smiled, Madeline stepped back, breath tight in her chest. The air smelled like gasoline and damp wood. She kept walking fast, but silent, her dog pulling ahead. That wasn't security footage. It was surveillance. And worse, it was deliberate. She glanced back just once. On the screen, a woman in her mid-50s sunbathing behind a privacy fence. The camera zoomed. Closer. Then again. It focused on her chest, her hips, skin. Gary leaned closer, snorted. "That's the good stuff." Madeline froze. Her body didn't move, but her mind broke in half. It wasn't just her. This wasn't about safety. This was targeting. Women. Alone. In their own yards. She backed away, each step heavier than the last. Her heartbeat in her throat. Gary laughed again. Low, quiet, like it was a game. And in that moment something inside her shifted. She wasn't afraid. She was angry. She pulled the old laptop from the closet. Heavy. Scratched. Still locked with a 6-digit passphrase. Her fingers remembered it. Muscle memory. Her breath slowed, measured. The screen flickered. Black. Then lines of white text. No icons, no sound. Just code. Command, prompt, blinking. She typed slowly, init, backdoor, data XE, enter. The system opened like it never left her. Ports, nodes, IP trails. This machine was built for defense, but tonight it would be used to expose. Her eyes sharpened. She leaned forward slightly, shoulders squared. Hands steady. "They think I'm just some woman with a garden," she whispered. Pause. Then calm, certain. "They have no idea who I am." Madeline tunneled into the HOA server, slow at first, then deeper. Inbox folders, labeled by name. One caught her eye, V. Harlow. She opened it, scanned fast, then paused. A photo attachment, Victoria in a blazer, hand outstretched, accepting a thick white envelope from a man in a gray suit. Below it, confirmed Project Peacock, funding approved. Discretion required. Attached PDF. Dozens of addresses. Notes beside each. Home alone. Single occupant. No outdoor curtains. She leaned back, an expression blank, then smiled tight and bitter. Victoria wasn't just watching. She was selling access. This wasn't about safety. It was a marketplace. And the product was people. The next file was video. Unlabeled. No timestamp. Madeline hit play. It showed Gary. Early morning. Hoodie up. Walking behind a wooden fence. He crouched. Drilled into a beam. Then pulled a small camera from his pocket. Aimed it directly at a back patio. Laundry hanging, wind blowing. A woman stepped out. Alone. Late 50s. She never looked his way. Audio kicked in. His voice, half-whispered, recorded from his own mic. "Widows are the easiest. No one checks on them." Madeline paused the video. Her hand hovered over the mouse. Eyes glassy. Not blinking. She didn't cry. Just saved the file. Renamed it Exhibit Shawandond MP4. Then whispered, flat, final, "This ends now." Madeline cleared the patio, dragged out the old metal table, propped a portable projector on top, ran cords through the grass. A massive LED screen stood against the fence facing the houses behind hers. Every wire taped, every angle checked. She opened her laptop, connected the feed. Tested the stream audio clear. Video sharper than she expected. Then she wrote the email. Subject HOA monthly meeting. Location change body. My backyard, Thursday, 6 p.m. I'll be showing you something you've all ignored. She sent it to the board and CC'd every neighbor on the street. No threats, no hashtags, no noise, just a quiet promise. You'll see what I've seen. By 6, folding chairs filled Madeline's yard. Neighbors, whispered eyes flicking between the screen and her porch. Victoria arrived first, clipboard in hand. Gary followed, arms crossed. 3 more board members trailed behind, unsure, scanning the setup. No one spoke to Madeline. She stepped forward. calm. "I won't be speaking tonight," she said. Voice steady, no anger. "I'll just be showing you the truth." A few people shifted in their seats. One man pulled out his phone already filming. Gary muttered something too low to hear. Victoria narrowed her eyes. Madeline didn't look at them. She turned toward her laptop, pressed one key. The screen blinked, then turned black, and then footage began. No more words, just proof. The footage rolled. First clip, Victoria entering a neighbor's side door, no knock, no call, clipboard in hand. Camera feed stamped with time-date GPS. Next, Gary kneeling behind a fence, screwing a black lens into a wooden post. Then it came, the worst. Spliced together, a woman brushing her hair in a robe. A man changing shirts near a window. A child playing alone. All recorded, all zoomed. No one knew. Someone in the crowd gasped. Another yelled, "That's my living room." Chairs scraped back. Faces turned red. Gary looked at the ground, blinking fast. Victoria's jaw clenched. But she stayed still. Madeline stood silent near the laptop, arms crossed, letting their horror speak louder than she ever could. Madeline clicked Go Live. Title: HOA Surveillance. Truth in real time. Within minutes, the viewer count passed 10,000. Then 25,000. Comments flooded in. "What the hell is this? Is this even legal? She's so brave." On Twitter, hashtags exploded. #, expose. Victoria, #HOA abuse. #, this could be you. Local news outlets picked up the feed. Clips circulated across platforms. TikTok edits. Reaction videos. Someone posted her footage with a caption, "They turned a quiet neighborhood into a prison." The world was watching now. Not just her neighbors, not just her street. Everyone. And for the first time in years, Madeline wasn't alone. Within the hour, Madeline's livestream had been reposted by digital rights groups, privacy watchdogs, and journalists. A local CNN affiliate showed up. A young reporter stood outside her gate mic in hand, camera rolling. More neighbors gathered, some silent, some angry. They weren't watching the screen anymore. They were watching Gary. He tried to leave, slipped toward the side street hoodie, up. A voice stopped him, going somewhere. Two men from down the block stepped forward. One crossed his arms. "You recorded my wife." Gary froze, eyes darting. Nowhere to go. Victoria stood rigid near the fence, reporters closing in. The balance had shifted. The quiet, rule-following crowd wasn't quiet anymore. They had seen enough. Victoria's voice cracked through the noise. "She doctored this. It's edited." "This is illegal surveillance." Some heads turned. A few hesitated. Madeline didn't flinch. She connected her laptop to the projector again, pulled up a still frame, then opened the metadata. Timestamp unedited. Device ID HOA internal server. IP address traced directly to the network inside the maintenance shed. She circled each detail with her cursor, quietly, calmly. "This is your equipment, Victoria. Your files, your authorization." Victoria's mouth opened, then closed. Her clipboard dropped slightly, and the camera lingered on her trembling hands, fingers tightening, then releasing. Her eyes darted nervously, searching for escape. The crowd murmured. No more doubt. No more space to spin. Her voice didn't return. Only her eyes moved, searching for a way out. There wasn't one. Gary stood frozen, surrounded. A woman stepped forward, shaking. She threw a stack of printed screenshots at his chest. One page hit his face and stuck. A zoomed image of her in a nightgown. "You filmed me," she hissed. Without consent, without shame. He tried to speak. Couldn't. Flashing lights cut through the dusk. A patrol car rolled in. Two officers stepped out. No questions, just cuffs. "Gary Mullins, you're under arrest for unlawful surveillance and trespassing." Hands behind his back, he stumbled. Cameras caught everything, sweat on his forehead, panic in his eyes. Victoria didn't move to help. She turned away, arms crossed, jaw clenched. The crowd watched in silence. Not shocked, just done. One down, one left. A reporter stepped closer, mic raised. "Why did you do this?" Madeline stood still, eyes steady on the camera lens. "No script, no fear. They thought I'd stay silent because I live alone." She let the words hang. Her chest rose and fell in slow, steady breaths. "But I'm not alone. None of us are. That's the lie they count on our isolation." People behind her nodded. Someone clapped once, then again. She glanced at the neighbors' faces she once avoided, now standing in her yard. "I did this because silence is what keeps them in power, and I've lived through silence before." Another pause. Then, "Not this time." Her voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. It belonged to all of them now. Madeline didn't move from the camera. Her voice softened but never broke. "My old company tracked every keystroke. They installed a keylogger without telling me, stole my work, took everything I built." A few gasps from the crowd. One neighbor murmured, "That's criminal." She nodded, swallowing hard. Her fingers clenched briefly at her sides. "I didn't fight back. I froze. I disappeared. For 5 years I let that fear run my life." The wind picked up, carrying her words across the yard, but not today. She looked past the lens toward the crowd, her gaze held steady, chin lifted. "Today, I fight not because I'm fearless, but because fear's had enough of my time." Her hands were still, her shoulders square. The past? Past didn't own her anymore. A voice rose from the back, firm, loud. "Dissolve the HOA." Now, cheers followed, then clapping. Dozens of neighbors, some once silent, some once skeptical, stood up together. Madeline stepped forward and held up a folder. "These are formal petitions," she said, "signed by over 30 households, requesting a full investigation and the immediate replacement of the current HOA board." A woman shouted, "Where do we sign?" Another man held out his pen. "You've got mine." People lined up beside her. It was no longer her fight alone. Victoria stood off to the side, pale, unmoving. The control she clung to was gone, taken back by the people she once ruled. Justice had found its footing, and it was loud. A second patrol car arrived. Officers stepped out, calm, professional. One held a folder marked Subpoena. "Victoria Harlow, the lead officer, said you are required to surrender all internal HOA communications emails, meeting notes, financial records." She didn't reply, not a word, but the camera caught her hands. One clenched into a fist, knuckles white. The other trembled just slightly, barely noticeable unless you were looking. Her jaw tightened. Her eyes darted quickly, avoiding every gaze. She didn't make eye contact with anyone. Not the officers, not the crowd, not even Madeline. Someone whispered, "She's cracking." The silence around her was louder than any accusation, and in that silence the power she once held slipped bit by bit. She was no longer untouchable. Madeline stepped forward, holding a small black hard drive in her hand. "This contains everything she said. Emails, footage, logs, internal records." She passed it to a local attorney appointed by the residents just minutes earlier. A quiet, firm handoff. "I don't want power," she said. "I want transparency." People exchanged looks. Some nodded slowly. One older woman clutched her chest, eyes wet. For years, no one had dared speak up. Now, someone had fought and gave them the tools to take back their voice. There was no speech, no applause, just the weight of what had changed. Madeline stepped back into the crowd, not above them, not in front, beside them. From the second row, Eleanor rose slowly. Her hands trembled as she gripped the back of a folding chair. Voice soft but clear. "I've lived here 37 years. I've seen every board come and go. I've watched them threaten, twist rules, silence people." She paused, eyes glistening. "But that girl. She did what I never dared, what most of us never dared." She looked at Madeline. She said no, to power, and she said it out loud. A ripple moved through the crowd. Someone clapped, then another. Soon the applause turned steady. A few wiped tears. Madeline gave a quiet smile, eyes lowered. Not proud, just grateful. Because change doesn't begin with shouting. It begins when the quietest finally speak. The official notice came in the mail. The HOA was dissolved. Victoria Harlow had been removed from her position. A formal investigation and criminal charges were underway. Her once pristine house now sat silent. Shutters-drawn driveway empty. No lights in the windows. On the lawn, a tilted sign read, "For sale." One corner bent the metal post rusted near the base. The wind caught it. It swung slightly creaking once, then again. Neighbors walked by without pausing. No whispers, no glances. The fear she commanded had vanished, replaced by something colder indifference. There was no grand farewell. No outrage, no defense, just a door closed, and a name fading with it. This is how power ends quiet and alone. Madeline stood beneath the tall lamppost at the edge of her yard. The sky was soft with evening, birds low and quiet. She reached up with a screwdriver, steady hands, no rush. The final camera came loose with a gentle click. She held it for a moment, looking at the small black lens that once looked back. Then she walked to the garage, opened a metal box lined with foam. Inside were other devices, disarmed, powerless. She placed this last one in the center, closed the lid, and peeled off a label. She wrote a new one in firm black ink. Complete. A breeze moved through the trees. Wind chimes barely rang. Inside the house, soft piano music began to play, and for the first time in years, the yard was hers alone. The paperwork went through CyberDefend, officially registered. A non-profit, mission-driven, built to protect the digital privacy of ordinary people, starting with her neighbors. Footage showed Madeline sitting in a small community center surrounded by folding chairs and curious eyes. She held up a fake security camera. It costs $12, but it deters 90% of unwanted eyes. The crowd laughed softly. She smiled, then turned serious. Next, let's talk about passwords and how they protect more than just your Wi-Fi. An older man raised his hand. A woman took notes with shaking fingers. She moved between them, gently explaining without judgment. Because fear didn't stop this community. Knowledge did. The episode dropped on a Thursday. Digital Rebels, April 98. The woman who fought the HOA and won. Madeline's voice, calm and steady, echoed through earbuds and car speakers across the country. She didn't rant. She explained. From the cameras to the live stream to the final petition. By Friday, the hashtag #StopDigitalHOAs had over 200K mentions. Reddit threads appeared. Can my HOA spy on me? What are our rights? Emails flooded CyberDefend. From Arizona, Florida, Maine. Your story gave us courage. Where do we begin? Madeline read each one, replied to as many as she could. She hadn't meant to lead a movement, but once you tell the truth out loud, others start whispering it too. The kettle whistled. Madeline poured her coffee, added a splash of oat milk, and cracked open the window above the sink. A soft breeze drifted in. Birdsong. Nothing more. She glanced out. Her garden was quiet, sunlit, untouched. No blinking lights, no hidden eyes. She stepped onto the porch barefoot. The boards were warm from the sun. A small tomato plant leaned toward the light. Madeline exhaled deep and slow. 5 years ago, she lived behind digital walls. Months ago, behind real ones. Now the only thing watching her backyard was the sky. Sunlight spilled across the kitchen wall, long gold-free. This wasn't victory. It was peace. Late at night, after Lily was asleep, I unrolled the old maps. They showed the irrigation systems my grandfather built by hand, pipes, wells, runoff lines. Every inch of this land had memory in it. I traced the curve of the old stream bed. There it was, a low patch near the back fence. Emily's spot. She used to sit there every evening, wrapped in that faded red blanket, watching the sun fall behind the trees. It's the only place the day feels quiet, she once told me. I marked the circle with a pencil, right there where her eyes always went. That would be the pond. Not just for Lily, not just for Emily. For all the silence we lost and all the peace we still need. The screen faded to dusk. No music, just quiet. Madeline's voice returned low, certain close. Freedom isn't a privilege. It's something you claim and hold tight. She paused, then added softer, almost a whisper. And sometimes it starts with a single step. Yours. Silence. A single breath, then fade to black. For 3 full seconds, nothing. Then a clean white logo emerged, Cyber Defend, underneath small text protecting privacy. Empowering people. No sponsor, no flash, just a cause, just a voice. Because some victories don't scream, they whisper, and the strongest movements don't start with noise. They start with someone saying enough,